is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
All right, everybody, welcome to The Process. Everybody knows by now, man, the process is greater than the product. My name is Shawn Barber, former linebacker of the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm here with my homeboy, man. Listen, this guy is a man of a mountain, Mizzou, one of the greatest tight ends to come out of the University of Missouri. My man, Chase Coffman, is with us. And before we get to that, man, I got to make an announcement. A title sponsor, man, the McGinnis Group, man. I not only do I work for the McGinnis Group, but I'm a client of theirs also. Man, listen, hey, I work with McGinnis Group now. We specialize in employee benefits, health insurance for companies, financial services, life insurance, and long-term care. We would love to have the opportunity to review your current plan and learn more about your game plan for the game of life. Again, teamwork. Together, everyone achieves more. All right, man. Hey, shout out to the McGinnis Group. Matt McGinnis, Scott, and Sonny, love you. We appreciate all the support that you're going to do for the process. Hey, man, let's time to get into it, man. Again, my guest this week is Chase Coffman. Chase, we start off each show with the who, a what, and a where. Who are you? What do you currently do? And then where can we find you on social media, whether it's social media or your business?
Yes, sir. So you said it, Chase Coffman. I played at the University of Missouri, graduated from Ray Peck High School out South Kansas City, and got the opportunity to play for 6 different teams over 8 seasons in the NFL, and then joined the BMG Advisors Financial Planning and Advising Group here in Kansas City. We're a small company that primarily does comprehensive planning for families and small businesses, as well as the investing piece, setting up 401k or retirement plans, and just kind of getting you to your goals, or at least letting you know what you got to do to get there. So that's what I'm doing now. I've been there almost 5 years now, and lots of ups and downs, but keep telling myself anything that is good, everybody'd be doing it if it was easy. So I'm still kicking.
All right, man. Hey, the seasons of life. Hey, financially, you got your ups and downs, but not the notorious B.I.G. like we know Biggie, but the notorious BMG. Holla at my man Chase. Holla at Adam over at BMG Finance, and they will take care of you, man. They do an awesome job. So, hey, man, let's get it.
And I didn't say where you can find me. So,
at
bmgadvisors.com. I'm on Twitter. But try to stay off of there. My wife and kids are a little bit more important than hitting up too much social media. But hit me up on LinkedIn or go to our website and schedule a meeting.
Again, bmgadvisors.com, or hit Chase Coffman up on his LinkedIn. All right. So here we go, man. Summary of what has happened with the Chiefs. We started off, man, rough. Week 1 against the Lions. We couldn't pull it out in the fourth quarter. Then we go down to Jacksonville. It's a hot, muggy day. Everybody's worried about cramps. The Chiefs found a way to come out of Jacksonville with a victory. We are now 1-1. A quick summary of the game. The Chiefs they won the game 17-9. Overcoming mistakes. That is something that no matter, again, even if you want to go back into your business right now with finances, every team has to find a way to overcome mistakes. What is a way or a format of having a great mindset that can always push you to think about what's going to be the next play, what's going on next? How do you remove those negative plays out of your mind and get on to what's remaining in the game?
Yeah, that's I think that right there is what distinguishes the greats from just the goods, right? I know that we talk a lot about former player benefits, and one of them is some counseling sessions for people, for their families. And I was talking to a counselor just about some of that stuff, and he brought up just think about the best game that you've ever had, best statistically, feeling very healthy, win, and think about, like, can you replicate that every single week? Probably not. So we're all imperfect. We're all going to have failures. But when you realize that you are going to fail, and that you just need to persevere, and like next play, how many times have you heard coach just say, hey, get on to the next play, have, a short memory, get rid of the last play and keep going? Like that's what distinguishes the good from the great. And teams that continually win, year in, year out, organizations like that, they're going to rotate the guys, but you build that culture And that's what you get. Teams that just keep persevering anytime there's a mess up, anytime there's a mistake, like, hey, it's going to happen next play.
I like it. Next play mentality, that perseverance. I wrote down, you said, we are perfectly imperfect, and understanding that, but you are always striving for perfection. Now, we learned that Mamba mentality. Kobe Bryant had that every day of practice, chasing excellence, because you know that once you give that on the practice field, you're going to see great results on the game days. And that's what we have. The difference between being a good team and a great team is the way we go about our practice, the way we practice, and the expectation.
Yeah, and I want to like point to what you said again, like not that we don't strive for perfection, because I think that's all inherently inside of us, right? We don't desire to fail, but just understanding that failures will happen through that process of striving for perfection.
I like that. Failure is a part of life, as always. So the team's goal, you go down there, it's hot. You got to get used. We got some guys trying to get used to the snap count, right? Because though it was a game 2 for our team, for 2 players, it was their first game. So let's talk about the impact of Travis Kelce, and then we'll talk about the impact of Chris Jones. You're an offensive guy. You take Travis Kelce. How did Travis Kelce impact our offense from week 1 to week 2?
Just his presence.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows who he is, right?
Killer Trav.
Yeah, being out there, just being a leader, and he can be a leader week 1 from the sideline, sure. But there's nothing like being out there in the pads and like the rest of the team seeing like, hey, we got our guy. He's out there. He's with us. And even if he doesn't make the plays, say he doesn't make the plays, he had some nice plays out there and helped the team win. But like they have to account for him every single play. And, that makes the receivers step their game up. That makes the secondary tight ends, anybody else step their game up. And of course, I'm sure it gives Patrick Mahomes some more confidence. So
Definitely.
Yeah, that's the offensive.
So the Jacksonville defense had to accept the fact that Killer Trav was playing and make the adjustments. And then on the other side of the ball, we had Chris Jones that was present, right? Sack Nation was now back in business. The CEO, CFO, COO of Sack Nation was back in the building, on the field. Week 1, he was in the building, just not on the field. But week 2, he was actually on the field. And when you talk about making an immediate impact, a sack on 4th down, a turnover, big plays, big hurries throughout the game. He was on a limited snap count, but I think for as far as the impact he made on the game, even though he was on a limited snap count, that young man proved that he was one of the most dominant guys in the NFL. And I think that everybody should be pretty happy that they got the contract done and he's back in the building. So again, some of the stats from the game, penalties, man, penalties was big. We had 12 penalties for 94 yards, 3 turnovers in the first half. 2 weeks in a row, Pat Mahomes was able to hit 11 different receivers. That's a record.
Impressive.
And then just really quick, going down the list, Sky Moore, all right, he was 3 for 70 with a touchdown. Kadarius Toney, 5 out of 5, 35 yards. Pacheco, 12 carries, 70 yards. We already talked about Kelce, right? We talked about Kelce. Pat Mahomes altogether for the day was 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And then on the defense, as far as Jacksonville is concerned, I mean, we kept their stars out of it kind of. I was really worried going into this game about the team speed of Travis Etienne, the resurrection of Calvin Ridley, because in week 1, man, they were unstoppable against Indianapolis. That team speed was just it was a difference maker. But against our defense, I think I got to start giving our Chiefs defense a little bit more credit. It seems like the guys are making kind of like they're making some progress of what's that next step. What is the next phase for our defense? It's no longer just middle of the road. Let's end up being like number 15 in the league. I think our defense has goals of being like a top 5 defense. And they played in week 1 without Chris Jones, and they definitely stood up and kept the Jacksonville Jaguars and that offense out the end zone the entire game, held them to 3 field goals. Phenomenal job by Chris Jones. Like I said, Sack Nation was back in the building. Overall, that entire defense did a great job, I think, this past Sunday. Obviously, keeping the Jacksonville Jaguars out the end zone. It led to another dub, a dub for the Chiefs, 17-9. Man, it was an awesome game all in through and through. And I think that just leads to better things in the future, man, better things in the future. So,
yeah, 100%. I would, piggyback on what you're talking about with the defense and just like, hey, you know what? Like Patrick Mahomes, the offense are getting all this credit. Chris Jones is getting all this credit. Like we've always heard in sports, next man up, right? Hey, look, like you have to produce too. Don't just count on your other team, like the other side of the ball to win it. Like we are a team, but like they're trying to get seen too, right? They're trying to get hype. They're trying to, make some plays and like, hey, we're a valid defense as well. And they got some young guys that are really stepping up and doing that. And I know you shouted out Mizzou earlier for me. So, I'm gonna give out another shout out to my guy, Nick Bolton.
Nick Bolton did his job, man. He's putting in work, man. Like, again, I thought he was a candidate for being a Pro Bowl middle linebacker last year after last year's season. I think he started out great this year, showed his true impact. Going from week 1 to week 2, he talked about some leaky yardage, and he wanted the defenses to shore it up. And I think you saw that on the field on Sunday. Our defense didn't let out all that leaky yardage, kept the Jacksonville Jaguars out of the manageable third downs. And when you look at the stats, the Jacksonville Jaguars were 3 of 12 on third down, 0 for 2 on fourth down. That's shutout basketball, shutout football right there. That's how you close a game right there.
And I know coaches come in, like they look at that stuff. They see that stuff. They say, hey, these guys are not letting these leaky yards through. They're not, they're tightened up, they're zipped up, they're buttoned up. And, that's going to make me figure out what I need to call for the play during those third downs, during those fourth downs, and whether or not we should take risks.
Yeah, definitely make it hard. I put in my notes, the Chiefs defense pitched a no-hitter on Sunday by not letting the Jacksonville Jaguars in the end zone. Man, hey, sports are sports, no matter what's the field, no matter what the level of competition. Keeping the other team out of the end zone, you take a lot of pride in that. You take a lot of pride in shutouts or keeping them out the end zone. So, man, hey, shout out to our defense. We did our job down in Jacksonville. And really quick, just to sum it up, overall, the Chiefs, when it comes down to putting the nail in the coffin, there's 2 ways. You either want to be in a victory formation or you want to be forcing the other team's offense to throw a Hail Mary. We ended up being in the victory formation because with 4 minutes, 18 seconds left, our offense got the ball with nothing more to do than just hold an 8-point lead. Up by 8 points, we hold the ball. We shut out the game by keeping them out the end zone. That's it. That's all we got to do. We go for 10 plays, 77 yards, 4 minutes, 18 seconds. That is the way to close the game, Che. I mean, like you said, it's only 2 ways to close a game. If you talk about winning football and you want to be in that victory formation.
That's the best feeling in the world, getting that ball back with, I'll even say 6 minutes left on the clock, 8 minutes left on the clock, feeling confident that like, hey, you know what? As a defense, we're not going back out there. We're not sending the punter back out there. We can confidently say like our guys are going to close this out. And at the end of the day, we're going to kneel it down. However long it takes, however many first downs it takes, gets you on the field. Like we're going to kneel this out and run it out.
All right. Right before we take a break, hey, hats off my man Sky Moore. Big third down conversion to keep that drive going and actually put the nail in the coffin. That's my play of the day. When we get back in the second half, we're going to talk who are we seeing next, who's coming in the Arrowhead. See if Red, you better be ready, because I think the Chicago Bears, Ryan Poles, and Justin Fields, I think they're coming. We'll be right back with the process.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
You're back with the process. And, hey, man, I got to give a shout out to my company. The PXG is here in Overland Park, Kansas City. If you got a chance, man, my man Chase, he just got himself fitted for a nice new putter, man. Come through, talk to Alex, talk to my man Jacob. Make sure you come spend some time here at PXG. They got the gear, they got the bag, they got the clubs, they got the balls, they got the swag, as you can see. Hey, man, Parson Extremes Golf, appreciate you letting us come use the building. And they got a virtual reality. You want to get your distance, you want to get your clubs honed in, you really want to go out there and shoot those low numbers, man, come out here to PXG Overland Park.
Hey, that's the truth. missing that putter, man. I'm gonna be knocking them in from here on out the rest of the season.
Got to take care of that short game, right? Short game, a drive for show, putt for dough. Those that play golf know what I'm talking about. All right, man. So in segment 2, man, we're going to talk about the Bears. The Bears are coming to town. Hey, man, listen, the Chiefs got to win, but we haven't got to win at home yet. This is going to be the first opportunity for us to actually let's christen Arrowhead. Let's get a victory here at home in front of our home, the Sea of Red, GEHA field at Arrowhead Stadium. Our crowd's going to be every game, every home game is crazy. But what we know from the Bears, they've had a rough start. 0-2, week 1 against the Packers, they lost by 18. Week 2 against the Buccaneers, they lost by 10. There's some defensive stats here. I'll go through them. As far as sacks, they've only got 1 sack on the season and given up 10. 0 interceptions, giving up 3. Got 0 fumbles, giving up 1. In third down, they are at a 50% conversion rate, but they are allowing offenses to convert at 66.7% conversion rate. There's nothing about those numbers that are going to make me think there's anything pretty is going to happen when that team comes into Arrowhead looking for their first win, and we look the Chiefs' kingdom to continue this winning streak. What do you think about the Bears coming in week 3 Arrowhead Stadium?
Man, I think Coach Matt Eberflus, another Mizzou guy, he's a tough competitor. I know that. Statistically, those stats you rattled off, I think they're number 1. They look great for the Chiefs coming into this week. Number 2, we've got 2 weeks. Teams can still be rusty coming into the season. I think they still got, obviously a young quarterback in Justin Fields, which leads to some probably inconsistency on offense and a defense that could still be looking to gel. So as we already know, right, it's any given Sunday in the NFL.
It is.
And no matter if it's, you name it across the league or the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning champs, you got to show up and believe that you're going to win. And, I mean, it's a game that shouldn't be taken lightly. And like you said, man, it's the first opportunity now for them to get a win at home, christen, GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium with the first win of the season at home.
Man, I love it. I think the Bears are going to come in. We've heard there's been some lack of trust, lack of communication, and having a new coaching staff, having a young quarterback, the communication that goes on between the quarterback and the OC from play in and play out. I mean, listen, you can't have too many voices in your head. You got to have some trust that the things you practice, the way you practice, the adjustments you made, you got to have to trust that quarterback that once you call the play, you gotta let him go play a little bit, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, most of the coaching is done during the week. So once you get to game day, it's like, let the guys play. Hopefully you've prepared enough. You're gonna make some minor adjustments. You're probably gonna see like some minor tweaks from the other team, but for the most part, like your stuff is gonna stay the same.
Yeah. So we're hearing that he's being overcoached, overcorrected. They're having him alert for the blitz, alert for the pressures. Watch DJ Moore opening up for this. Watch Mooney might be coming underneath for that. Cole Kmet. So
yeah, don't take the guy's instincts away from him. That's what got him there in the first place.
Exactly. I think that's the one thing. He's been so hesitant to run the ball and be what he does natural. That's the only thing. If you ask me one thing I'm a little bit hesitant of is to think that if he goes back to his Ohio State days and looks for his first read and if it's not there, he takes off with his legs. Defensively, that's the one part of every team's offense that you never really account for. Lately, I know over the last few years, 5-6 years, teams have been incorporating the spy technique. A safety will come down or a linebacker is left in the box to spy. But I don't know if a spy technique works against a quarterback like Justin Fields because he's a better athlete than probably everybody on the defense side of the ball.
The three spies.
Yeah, you can't spy somebody with a lesser athlete. So I think you just got to go, play sound defense all 3 levels. Let Chris Jones and the guys up front do their thing, go to work. I don't know how much extra pressure we're gonna need to bring to try to hurry him up because I think that maybe they're already hurrying him up just in his own camp. He's being hurried up by his own OC, and so his play clock is probably sped up a little bit. And if he can't slow that down, if they can't slow that down from practicing and communication and having some trust, it might be a little bit of a nightmare facing this Chiefs defense. this Sunday coming up. So
especially with Chris Jones getting that limited plays under his belt, be a whirlwind for him.
Yeah, he's that play. I think that play count comes off it's coming off the shelf this Sunday. So I think he's going to be able to go back to his old self. All those serious downs, all the third downs, all the big series. So hopefully we'll see Chris out there for 40-some plays, because he looked like he was in great shape. If anything tested him, that heat in Jacksonville should have tested him. If he was out of shape, anything, we would have known in Jacksonville. And the way he showed out and played, I say, it's time to let the dogs eat. So I'm looking for Chris Jones and Sack Nation to be in full effect on Sunday. We're gonna go into a section of this program I call Contenders and Pretenders. So right now we got a few teams in the NFL that are 2-0. We got a whole bunch of 1-1s, and then we got some teams that are 0-2. So I'm gonna go over the majority of the 1-1 teams, and it's really quick. You tell me either they are a contender, which means they're gonna be around, they got enough to stay in the playoff picture, or nah, Shawn, this team is just pretending sooner or later they're gonna fall off and not even make the playoffs. So in the NFC, we got New York Giants.
Pretender
always. The Packers.
Contender.
I mean, even with Aaron Jones being injured, they got A.J. Dillon. So they got enough weapons there, and I think Love actually surprised us in the first 2 weeks of showing that he's actually capable of filling in for Aaron Rodgers. Let's say the Lions.
Man, I got to go with the history, man. They're a pretender.
The L.A. Rams. Pretender also. The Seahawks.
Contender.
I got contenders, and only because, man, I got so much love for Kevin Lockett and Tyler and the family. There's no way I'm going to ever vote or say anything negative against the Seahawks program. So, hey, as far as I'm concerned, that's the play.
And I was there for a little bit, and they have a pretty good culture. They get from, the top down, GM, coach, and they still have a lot of players, man. They got some talent. Like you said, Lockett, man, he's always somebody that any week could be explosive.
I like it. All right, we're going to let's go over to the AFC. The AFC looks like we have about 7 or 8 1-1 teams. Let's start off with Aaron Rodgers, New York Jets.
Pretenders.
The Buffalo Bills.
Contenders.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm going to put them in the contenders.
Contender. I got contenders too. How about the L's that people call the Browns?
Pretenders. I'm going to go same thing with the Lions. I mean, we're in the show me. I'm from the show me state. They got to show me before I start putting them in the contender category.
Man, and listen, hey, prayers go out to my man, Nick Chubb. Man, that was a gruesome injury we saw on Monday Night Football, whenever it happened. That was terrible, man. So heal up fast. Prayers with you, young man. The team we just beat, the Jaguars.
I think they're still contenders.
They're going to be when
around.
Dust clears. I think they're going to be around. Let's go with the Raiders.
The Raiders, I think they're pretenders.
Yeah, the Raiders are going to Raider at some point. The Tennessee Titans.
I like the Titans, man. That was one of my good experiences. I'm going to put contenders for them.
All right, last but not least, we got the Colts.
Pretenders. Still pretenders. Yeah. I like the quarterback that they got. I think that they have an opportunity going forward. He's got a ton of potential, obviously. It's going to be an interesting season for them. But for this year, pretenders.
All right, if you got your bet sheets out there, contenders, pretenders. Also check with my man Benny Heights. He'll let you know how to put those parlays together with those season-long overs and unders and all the things they do as far as those betting lines.
I got to put my financial disclosures on that one.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. The notorious BMG did not advise you on those picks.
Yes.
He was just telling you his thoughts about whether the teams are contenders or pretenders. And then lastly, hey, with these 0-2 squads, this is going to be a new segment we call Panic or Patience. Either press the panic button and go all in for Caleb Williams in the first-round pick, or have a little patience, because better days are coming. It's just a tough season, first couple of weeks. But hey, guess what, man? It's a marathon. It ain't a sprint. The NFL is 17 games over 18 weeks. It's a marathon. So let's say panic or patience when it comes to the Vikings.
I think you need patience.
Patience with the Vikings.
Yeah.
The Bears.
Look, I'm going to say, like, you have to be patient, but in a situation like this, Eberflus is still young, Fields is still young. I think there's probably some panic in that organization right now.
The Carolina Panthers.
it's still early in the whole situation. They're probably a year or two behind the Bears, so it's still patient.
New England Patriots.
I'm panicking. I'm not a big Patriots fan.
I'm saying this. Anybody who's heard me on any of the social media, radio, players, anything you've heard me on, the consistent thing I've said is that the Patriots have cheated so long that it's hard for them to win without cheating. Whether you go back to the inflate gate, you go back to the
tuck rule, all the way back.
Filming the sidelines. They knew your first 15 plays before you even drew them up. So it's crazy to think you can't defend plays when you've already been watching the film of the other team walking through and warming up. So, man, I am always been anti-Patriot, so I'm always pushing the panic button against the Patriots. And then the last three are the Cincinnati Bengals.
Patience
with them. Obviously, you got to wait for Joe Buns to come back. You got a calf injury.
They've proved the last couple of years that they can make some things happen.
And then the AFC West has two teams. The Chargers.
You're still patient. People talk about Herbert. He's proved that he can do some neat things, and it's like you said, early in the season.
I think with the Chargers, the talent is in the building. I think the head coach with Staley might be the wrong guy leading him. I think it actually the OC, Kellen Moore. I think if and when he takes over, that might be when we see the Chargers actually take that next step and become a playoff team.
Yeah.
Last but not least, Denver Broncos, man. Russell Wilson, Sean Payton. What's going on in Denver?
It's all panic.
It's been panic since he got into the building.
It's just a world. It started off on a bad foot, and the losing just keeps piling up. I feel bad for him, but being here in Kansas City, not too bad.
All right, real quick, I want you to finish this statement for me. All right, the road to the Super Bowl goes through which two teams? Fill it in. Which two teams? The road to the Super Bowl, the AFC goes through.
It goes through Kansas City. Still goes through Kansas City. You have a culture. You have a team that has proved it year over year out. And I mean, whether we're 1-1 or even if we would have dropped to 0-2, guys know that it is that 17-week season that you just talked about. It's a long season. Anything happens, all you got to do is get in the big dance.
If the rosters are healthy at the end of the year, nobody wants to see Casey. Everybody knows it because they have Patrick Mahomes, who just signed a new $210 million guaranteed 4-year. Push that money to the front. I love it. Get them paid now. Get them happy so they can sit back and just keep throwing that rock.
And I'm gonna say one more. I mean, I'm kind of excited about Miami and the AFC too. I think they got some players down there. I know they got some players down there. I mean, if you're talking about any given Sunday, like it'll probably come through Kansas City. But they're gonna be a team to watch.
They got a team to watch. Obviously, if the quarterback Tua can stay healthy, that whole team kind of rides and down with his health and him dealing with the concussions and things like that. And then in the NFC, the road to the Super Bowl rolls through.
Man, I'm gonna put it with the Saints.
If I own this mic, I would drop it. I don't own it, so I'm gonna.
I think Derek Carr's. People put him down as much as you want. Like he's been a Pro Bowler. He's been a higher level quarterback.
Yes,
and they have some talent, man. And their receivers back. Some young guys making plays. Who's the running? Rashid.
Yeah, something like that.
Rasheen.
Yeah, the 22, the wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's doing work.
Yeah. And
Johnson, the tight end.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't even got Hard back yet.
Yeah, they only. I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance that they could compete, and you still got to knock off the Eagles, contenders from last year, but I think there's a chance that they could put together a season.
I like that, Chase. You didn't hit us with the normal 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys, or the Eagles. You went with the Saints.
Hey, they. Organizationally, man, they got something.
I'm actually even though he was a former Raider, I am a big Derek Carr fan. Derek Carr has been a man who wears his faith on his sleeve. He's a great Christian brother. He always is out helping the community and helping. And he's leading the charge for all his teammates.
You know what you're going to get out of him. He's not playing the games. He's not trying to be out in the media. He's not trying to do a bunch of things. But
all team.
He's proven himself, and I do believe he got kind of shafted with the Raiders, which it seems like a Raiders thing to do, but make them walk the plank. right?
I like it. I like it. Hey, well, that's going to end up segment 2. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to kind of switch gears, and we're going to pick the mind of an offensive player and find out how does the offensive player's mindset work when it comes to having a growth versus fixed mindset, and can he continue to evolve now that he's in his post-playing days and answer some really tough questions I'm going to throw at him about the tight ends. We'll be back with you. This is The Process. Shawn Barber, we're at PXG again, and thanks to the title sponsor, the McGinnis Group. We'll be back.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
We're back with another week of football, and DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping us in on the NFL action with great offers every single game day. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Throw 5 down on any of this week's epic matchups and walk away an instant winner. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. Football is more fun when you're in on the action, so download the app now and use code KCSN at sign up. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. With code KCSN, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, Louisiana. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
Welcome back to The Process. Again, I'm Shawn Barber, my man Chase Coffman, former tight end of the Mizzou University of Missouri. Man, we're just chopping it up. We wanted to really hone in on his position, right? The tight end position. I got a bunch of questions I want to ask him, but first I'm going to ask him about the offense in general. How do you solve drop passes? It's not just a receiver. It's not just tight. How do you really solve having a game where you drop too many passes, and how do you get better at that?
You got to get the confidence back, man. It's like I got my swagger back. You know, you got to, right? And that just comes from practice, right? Practice. You got to get back in the game, and then even when you get in the game, it's like, hey, is it gonna translate, right? You get that first one under your belt, like maybe even the coaches just like, hey, look, we're gonna give you something that we know you're gonna catch, right? Based on their defenses and these situations, we're gonna get you a catch, get that first one under your belt. Right. And then they all know that that's what they do. That's how they got there.
Yeah.
So they just got to get that confidence back.
And I'm going to be the first person to point this out. I think Andy did a great job after the first game against the Lions. He pointed out to himself, hey, Kadarius Toney's drops was probably my fault. The guy came the first day of camp, hurt his knee, and that was it for him the entire training camp. I don't even know if they were planning on having him active week 1 until Kelsey got hurt. Yeah. And then it was kind of a product of Kelsey getting hurt. They needed Kadarius, and so he went out there asking the guys to show up and play game speed.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
I just think that from a mindset standpoint, maybe he just wasn't ready game day to really put it all in. But he showed week 2, they overfed him the first drive. He went 5 for 5. Yeah. Man, like he ain't never had a catch hands problem. So I think we done solved the case of the dropsies. Overall as a team though, that first half, it was way too many turnovers. Receivers, tight ends, whatever position, teams are going to continue to peanut punch it. They're going to continue to try to knock that ball out. We're going to get guys on special teams trying to do the knuckleball punt because our returners are having some issues with fielding the ball and stuff like that. So like you say, I think what the point you made was you got to get your swagger back. You got to get your confidence back. Jug machine, finding.
Yeah, I mean, just get somebody like smacking your arms down, before or after practice while you're catching them. And odds are like you're going to go out there and catch all of them, right? All of those because you already got it.
You've been
right? But like you said, I mean, and the Chiefs feeding him earlier in the game, like, hey, that's getting him back. Whether he was or wasn't ready, to really go that week 1, I mean, that's irrelevant. That goes back to the hey, we're going to make mistakes. We're imperfect. Forget about it and go to the next one. Even if you drop the first one the next game, forget about it, get to the next one. And that's where that team culture really comes in and like, hey, look, we got you. Yeah. Don't worry about it. People are saying this, people are saying that. Don't worry about it. We know who you are. And then coach stepping back up, GM stepping in, like people that, as we know in the NFL world, like not for long, like that may be like the person making the decision to get you out of the building. Like those are the people that you got to feel like confident about that, hey, you're not going anywhere. We're staying here and we're going to win.
Military terms, I got your six. I mean, I got your back. But now let's go to offensive line. We had some holding calls. Mm-hmm. I know you didn't play offensive line, but as a tight end, sometimes you had to block. And how do you prevent getting hold? Like obviously we know in every NFL play, there's holding going on all across the board. What is the difference between the holding that gets called and those that don't get called? Yeah,
so the hold, I mean, you're taught every time, get your hands inside, right in there, kind of right on the chest, inside the armpits, keep it inside. If you get them outside, that's when the refs are probably going to call it. And especially when that guy starts to leave you, right? If the play gets extended out of the pocket or running back goes past you and the guy's leaving you, that's when you got to let go. You got to keep them in here. You got your arms extended. There's a probability, a better probability that they're going to call it. And if they called it a lot last week, the refs are going to be looking for it this week.
That's right. So you got to know what's been called, and you got to understand that the refs watch film too. Yeah. They watch film and get reports too. So if there was 20 holding calls that didn't even get called, you got to believe that they're saying, hey, this getting out of control. The Chiefs offensive line are holding every play. They're, X, Y, and Z. And so, like you said, when they're looking for that tug of that jersey, when they see that name get a little bit too wide, and they see that shoulder pad come out, they notice for some reason this defender, he didn't undress himself. Mm-hmm. So it must be a reason. So we got to learn how, like you said, keep those hands inside, control that breastplate of the shoulder pads. And then when that defender starts to break away, instead of extending your arms and getting the holding call, let him go and then go find someone else to go hit, right?
Yeah, and most of that is just like knowing where you're supposed to be, keeping your body in between the defender and the ball.
Yes.
Right? If you know where you're supposed to be, now guys are gonna get beat. There's a ton of amazing athletes in the NFL. And then, to second kind of what you said, like the refs watch the film, but so do the other coaches, and they're going to come in with a list of, hey, this team did this last week. Watch this player, watch that player, and we expect them to hold in these situations and these scenarios. So we're going to bring that to your attention.
Well, the opponent team is definitely going to tell the referee to watch 87 and watch his emotions to see if he can keep him in check. So Kelsey, hey man, listen. We know we love to be back. We know you got a lot of things going on. What they call it? It's a scary summer. I don't know what her songs are. One of those. What is it called? Cruel summer. So it's a cruel. And guess what? It's been a cruel week too, because you got 2 personal fouls called against you, 2 flags against my man Kelsey. One taking off his helmet, I think, and the other one, man, he gave him the smooth handshake. Hey man, I'm gonna shake your hand, and gave him the smooth handshake. The referees didn't like it. Another personal flag called. So listen, hey, we need Kelsey to just control those emotions, get that refocus on what making him one of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game. And with that, my last question does have to do with Kelsey being one of the greatest to ever play the game. Real quick, who are the 3 current tight ends that you consider in the game right now? Who are the 3 tight ends that are the best tight ends in the NFL right now? And maybe
I think hands down, Kelsey's the number 1.
Okay,
hands down in the game right now. I mean, I think he's proven it. He's at seven consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. I mean, nobody's ever done that before. Amazing. And then I really like Mark Andrews.
Okay,
I think he's all around a solid tight end. I mean, he's proven it in the AFC North, which is they've got, especially with the Ravens, kind of that ground and pound, and he makes some amazing catches.
Yes.
So I think he does it all. He's all around. And then lastly, man, I want to see Kyle Pitts keep going. He's the exact opposite.
Chase is always he's loyal to his ex teams to a fault. So he's found a way to support the Saints. Now he's found it out. Now young man, he played for the Falcons.
I had a workout.
So
with the
now he's sneaking the Falcons back in there. So I love his loyalty.
And my guy Arthur Smith down there, the head coach, he was Titans tight end assistant coach while I was there. And I mean, shoot, he's all for the tight end. So I love seeing Kyle Pitts making some plays.
Kyle Pitts might be the most athletic of any tight end who has ever played the game. And something about the offense right now, just I think with Bijan being there, they start with the running game. But like you said, that's the same thing the Ravens do. They start with the running game, and they find these unique ways to use Mark Andrews. I think the OC at the Falcons look at some of that Raven film. They can find ways to use Kyle Pitts kind of like Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I think that's what it takes, right? The coaches to, like, if you got a Kyle Pitts, you got to find ways to use him, right? You're not going to just say, hey, you're going to fit into this offense. You have to find ways to use him because of his explosiveness, because his hands, because the potential that he has to make your team different.
And before we go to our last bit, which is the 2-minute warning, when we go to hurry up offense, I got to ask you this because you're a tight end, you're on the show. This is the process. So since you are here, I got to know, who is the GOAT of the tight end position? You're here in Kansas City. We've had two of the greatest to ever put on the uniform to line up in tight end, Tony Gonzalez, Travis Killer Trav Kelce. Man, I'm going to ask you, Chase.
That's the arguments between those two now.
Who is it? Who is it? In your opinion, who is it?
I still think it's Tony Gonzalez.
I love it.
But Trav's career is not over.
Nice to continue.
To be continued for that. But Tony wears the belt. He's got to get knocked off.
Is it even worthy the same discussion as like a Michael Jordan versus LeBron? Yes, LeBron is still playing.
Yeah,
I
don't think Tony Gonzalez. He doesn't have his own shoe. He doesn't have it. You know, like he doesn't. Unfortunately, I think we all wish he had the rings.
Oh man,
right. I feel for him
like
there.
Mike has 6.
Yeah, but Travis does. Yeah. And he's got stats to make it like, hey, this is a real consideration. And that's just my argument, right? So go argue yourself.
Yeah, I like hey, discussion for the Kool-Aid work, man.
Yeah.
Who is the GOAT, the where, the why, the how. And right now, hey, we're going to a 2-minute offense. If you don't know about football, in the last 2 minutes, the offense goes hurry up. Hey, the formation is set. We're going to call it the line, all audibles. We got to go score. We got in position. So obviously my man Chase is here. So the 2-minute offense, the topic of our 2-minute offense is going to be MIZZOU. I'm going to ask him some Missouri questions right off the cuff. Name the 3 best Tigers to ever put on the Missouri uniform. All time. The 3 best Tigers.
I'm going to give you an all time and then like more recent.
Okay.
Right. So you got some Hall of Famers, right? Kellen Winslow Sr.
That's
like he's a Hall of Famer. You can't argue with that. And then Roger Worley is another one. He was a back in the day guy, amazing. And those will be my 2. But I'm gonna throw Brad Smith in there for past and future. He's kind of a tweener right now, and I think that he really did an amazing job of kind of reviving Mizzou. Under Gary Pinkel and then. Kind of the like 1, 2, 3 with Brad Smith, and then Brad kind of moving into the new with Chase Daniel and Jeremy Maclin.
J-Mac.
I mean, I think people forget Chase Daniel, man. He was a Heisman contender. And, as we know in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, you got to have a quarterback, and he proved that. He did it. And we had a ton of weapons, but J-Mac played 2 seasons, was an All-American both seasons, and left for the draft.
Yeah.
After tearing his ACL his redshirt freshman year.
I like the J-Mac call.
Had the redshirt.
Smith call, and I like the Winslow Jr. call. I'm going to go with those 3. I like you all time. All right, we're back on the line. Next question. While you was at the University of Missouri, who was the toughest opponent you had to actually buckle up and go one-on-one with? Who is the guy that you still having nightmares about that was on the other side of that line?
I wouldn't say nightmares about it. I don't think there was any nightmares. Patrick Willis. We played Ole Miss. And, there's this buzz about this linebacker that they had. I'm like, at Ole Miss? And we know every school can have some guys. But Patrick Willis, like, just sound and had all the athletic ability. and it wasn't like anything big or bad. He just made plays.
I like it.
And he could be the big and bad, but he just made plays and was solid. And he showed that in his NFL career too. And I'll tell you this, like once I got kind of moving from college to the NFL, I got drafted in the same draft class as Ray Maluga. And like I had to go Oklahoma drill back when they did Oklahoma drill versus Ray. That dude can hit.
So Pat Willis, man, hey, one of my favorite linebackers that ever donned the gold and red or whatever you want to call the 49ers colors. But for those who don't know, Pat Willis was Ray Lewis before Ray Lewis. That's who Ray Lewis watched to become Ray Lewis, was Pat Willis. He shortened a lot of guys' necks. He was a thumper. He was a ball player. He was a leader. He was a man. He was a mountain of a man on the field. Man, Pat Willis, that's a great call from Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. Last but not least, hey, last play, we got to decide whether to go Hail Mary or just kneel on it, kick the field goal. Last play. Man, let's get in the victory formation and tell me, what is one of the greatest lessons that you learned during college that you feel has made you a better player, person, friend, father? What is a lesson that sports, college sports, might have taught you or you had to learn that just made you a better individual?
Don't ride the wave. And by that I mean, like, you're gonna have your failures, you're gonna have your successes, and when you're having success, man, everybody's sunshine and roses and praising you and best thing since sliced bread, and vice versa. Like when you have the drops, when you have something happen, when the team doesn't win, I mean, shoot, the kid from CSU this week, people are calling for his head. That's uncalled for. But that stuff will happen. And, when the times are down, like, I would really encourage everybody, like, if you don't have a couple, like, I'll say five people that are kind of your support group, they're your encouragers, right? They're going to stand with you. They know you. They know your character. They know your work ethic. Like, they're going to tell you the truth, on the high waves and the low waves. Man, you need to find that, because like in the ups and the downs, those are the people that kept me just, hey, steady Eddie, right? You didn't make it, you didn't fail, but like there's still a lot of life ahead.
Man, I like that, man. Yeah, you take your circle of friends, you take those 5 individuals who are closest to you, mm-hmm. You take them from their success, their failures, you're going to fall somewhere in between that. So surround yourself with people that are wise, that have knowledge.
And that's biblical.
That has a sound faith base, that have something they believe in, that they are not their son. You should not be the son of your universe. I'm sorry. We are not the sun. You are just a planet going around, right? The sun is something much bigger than us. It's got to be something you care more about than yourself. And focus on that thing. And to me, the superpower we all have the ability to have is servitude. We can donate our time, volunteer. Man, every place got a Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We have Meals on Wheels. There's
food banks.
There's so many different ways that the resources and the assets and the things that may be just extra for you can be a necessity for someone else. So, man, hey, last but not least, man, once again, let's give a shout out to the McGinnis Group, our title sponsor. We're going to be loving them up all season long as we are interviewing different former teammates, different friends, different influencers and impactful people here in the Kansas City community. So again, for myself, Shawn Barber, my man, Chase Coffman, the notorious, not B.I.G., but the BMG.
BMG
advisors. Always BMG advisors, man. This is Shawn Barber from The Process. The process is always greater than the product. Y'all be blessed.